Okay, so getting straight into it, because I know that a lot of you guys have a really damaged and a really short attention span, which, girl, I'm not judging, I'm not blaming you, me too, TikTok has ruined it. However, a few weeks ago, which I'm sure a lot of you guys may already know, there was some like back and forth chatting, or like quote unquote beef, as some people are like calling it, between the Royal High and the Dress to Impress Twitter accounts, and the official Royal High Twitter account actually posted, sorry guys, I need to call someone out, Dress to Impress, YRR, Chito Freddy Fazbear, students skipping class to hit your runway. They said the lighting wasn't given. Not to mention, I think that's what that means on the lighting. Our chandeliers cost more than Lana's salary. Be so for real, you just want the spotlight back again. Oh, that kind of stung a little bit. Damn. Honestly, are we beefing or flirting? I have no clue how I feel about that comment. I don't know, I guess we're just runway rivals. Bring it on. Don't cry when we serve hotter, and when you lose, don't blame the lag. Okay, so initially when this back and forth was happening, a lot of people have been coming up with the theory that this is a potential hint at a collab between Royal High and Dress to Impress. Now with that said, I want to clarify really quickly before we dive deeper into today's video that this is just a theory video as well. Obviously, I am not part of the development team for Dress to Impress. I have no clue what is happening behind the scenes, so please note that everything I'm sharing with you guys in today's video are just my own opinions, and this is a theory video, so I just cannot confirm what is and isn't true. However, like I said, initially when this was posted, a lot of people have been saying that this is a potential hint at a collab. Now, I personally do not think that we're going to be getting a collab between Royal High and Dress to Impress, and I just kind of want to like state my case and just kind of explain why I don't think so, because I feel like I'm the only one with this opinion. You know, I scroll through Reddit and Twitter and no one has the same opinion. It's just everyone saying like, oh my god, this is like a collab between Royal High and Dress to Impress. Bam, 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 bam. I don't think so, which is why I want to plead my case. So there is a few observations that I made from some of the clues, obviously from this back and forth, and the first thing I want to clarify is that the people that run these accounts are community managers, and they are responsible for just organizing community events, so obviously like speaking to PR teams, etc, etc. So again, I kind of do understand why a lot of people would think that this is a hint at a collab, because the role of community managers are just to organize like community events and also basically be the face of the game too. However, moving on, something that I want to clarify is that this was posted on November 14th with I think like around maybe like 8 minutes between each message. Now I looked at the timestamps, which I don't think it's relevant, but this is in CET time zone but it's minutes, so it doesn't really matter. So again, it's like, I don't know, 8-10 minutes in between each message. So taking that into account and taking in the popularity of these accounts, obviously there is going to be people that are going to be tagging Royal High and Dress to Impress. There's going to be people who are going to be replying to older tweets or liking older tweets from Dress to Impress and Royal High, and basically it is inevitable that their inbox thingamabob on Twitter. Honestly, I don't really know how Twitter works. I don't use it that much besides just scrolling on it without an account. Oh well, but it is quite obvious that their inbox, or like the little notification box, is going to be filled with notifications of people liking, replying and commenting and tagging them. But the fact that they are replying to each other so rapidly, which in my opinion, replying in like 8-10ish minutes is quite rapid considering the size of these accounts and their activity, I feel like this must imply that this back and forth was actually planned between the community managers and likely scripted too, which again sounds a little bit exciting and a little bit fishy too, because again, realistically, both games get tagged and replied to a plethora of times, so I just feel like this had to be scripted or planned out between the community managers. Now, I cannot really speak for Royal High themselves, but I know that Dress to Impress recently hired a new community manager, and I'm pretty sure that Royal High did also hire a new community manager, because if you just kind of reflect back on how the older, which by the way, no shade to the previous Royal High community managers, I have no clue who they are, but comparing how they are replying to all the new tweets and replies, they just seem so much nicer. They genuinely reply with so much care and concern, and obviously are really helpful. Same with the new Dress to Impress community manager. Now, speaking about the new community manager for Dress to Impress, on November 19th, we had the new community manager actually introduce herself in the Discord server. Now, here's a little like introduction that she did. She seems super sweet, and just the way that she has been replying to some of the tweets, especially now with so much happening happening between DTI creators has been just so professional, and she is, in my opinion, exceeding at the role. So I'm really happy that we have her representing the game and basically here when we need help with anything. I am so confident that we're finally in safe and good hands. However, the reason why I'm mentioning this and why it's even relevant in today's video is because I feel like because she made herself public on the Discord server on November 19th, I feel like that doesn't necessarily mean that she started working for Dress to Impress on the 19th. I feel like her position was likely settled days or maybe like weeks prior, so it is very likely that she is the new individual behind this Dress to Impress Twitter account and all the other social media. However, I think it's also really important to clarify that obviously there is no way of me verifying who actually is behind these accounts, but I know that, and I think a lot of you guys already know that too, is that we had Umoye and Studio Zach, who are the main developers or like people for Dress to Impress, who also were speaking to us through those accounts. So it's very likely that it is also maybe Umoye or Zach speaking to us or speaking through that account as well. Anyway, so moving on, I do want to talk about and kind of discuss some of the observations that I made from some of the basically clues that I got from the messages that they shared. So the first one is, I guess we're just runway rivals, and this basically means that we're just runway competitors, which we know Dress to Impress and Royal High, they do have very similar concepts with the sense of Sunset Island. You know, you have a theme and you have to dress according to the theme, and if you get the most votes, you will win something in return. Same with Royal High, you have a theme, you dress up, you get something in return. So I feel like this is just a hint at a playful competition, not necessarily like a partnership or a collab. On top of that, if anything, I feel like it's just like stirring the pot about which game has better runway experiences, which obviously with Royal High and Dress to Impress, I feel like there's been a lot of comparison for however long Dress to Impress has been around. So maybe them just talking about the competition, maybe it's like a subtle way of just them hinting that there's no actual beef between the two games. It is all just community driven. Secondly, when you lose, don't blame the lag. So if this was teasing a new collab between the two games, the assumption is that both games would usually release, oh sorry, I just knocked my microphone. The assumption would be that both these games would release a new build. What kind of build? I don't really know, but I feel like they would maybe implement some new decorations or like new sections in their game just to kind of show that there is a collab happening in a game. And usually when there is anything new added to games, it does come with increased lag for some players, so maybe this is hinting at that. But then again, this just reads more like a general joke about players blaming each other for losing in games and blaming lag, you know, something that we all know both communities do constantly. I feel like it's actually more prominent inside of Dress to Impress. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I don't personally think that this is a collab between the games. Now, I hope I am wrong, because honestly, if you think about it, a little collab with Royal High and Dress to Impress, like that just sounds so exciting. But the reason why I personally don't think that this is a collab is because, one, I've been on Roblox for so many years. Like I honestly don't remember for how long I've been on Roblox. I just remember creating like so many different accounts. Like I probably have like over 100 accounts throughout the many years that I've been on the platform, because I just keep on forgetting my passwords. But I personally have never come across a cross-game collab between two different games. I feel like it's not a very common practice, and it seems a little bit weird just to have two games collabing, because usually whenever a game does a collab with something, it is, for example, with celebrities. So like the Wicked thing that just happened in Dress to Impress, or like singers like Bright, just to kind of like promote a new album that has been released, just things like that. And those kind of make more sense for why the collab would happen, whereas collabing with another game, I don't know, cross game collabs just don't really work in my head. I don't know. And secondly, the logistics, in my opinion, just make no sense. Maybe it is because I am not thinking outside of the box, and maybe there is something that you guys came up with. So if you did, please let me know in the comments down below. However, if there was a collab with Royal High, I feel like one of the main things that you would have to do is, I don't know, win a round inside of Sunset Island to unlock an item in DTI. But I feel like that is very problematic, because the two games operate on completely different item economics. So I'm sure if any of you guys have played Royal High, you know that you have to grind for hours to get enough currency to buy an item. And obviously once you have a lot of items, you can kind of customize them and do come up with different outfits to fit within the theme in Sunset Island. Whereas DTI literally gives us most of the items for completely free with like obviously challenges and quests or like codes. Obviously the most obvious thing is that you can just walk around the map and there is just like 100 or like thousands of different items and accessories whoa, my voice is going. There is just so many different items they can get for completely free, whereas that isn't really the case in Royal High. And I feel like the most realistic explanation between the back and forth that was happening on Twitter is that it might just be the community managers trying to calm down the community beef, because there has been tension between the Royal High and the DTI communities for so long, and I feel like it's been such a long time since the communities have been beefing. It's gone to the point where some of us genuinely don't even remember why the beef started. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't understand some of the hate that Dress to Impress players are giving Royal High and the game. Like, I genuinely don't get it. It seems a little bit immature from my perspective. So I feel like these tweets from Royal High and Dress to Impress might have simply just been like playfully acknowledging the beef between the communities and just trying to soften the tone between the fan bases, because again, most of this is just completely community driven and just reminding people that both games can actually exist and succeed without hate. So it's more of just like the two community managers trying to come together to get rid of any flames between the two communities. So in my opinion, like I said, it just does not feel like a collab. Anyway, so like I said, there's just been a lot of speculation online circulating, especially on Twitter and Reddit, about a potential collab between Royal High and Dress to Impress. But like I mentioned, I don't think that is happening, and I'm so sorry to be making anyone feel a little bit disappointed, especially if you really thought that there is going to be a collab. I just don't really think that there is going to be one. But then again, I am just a Royal High and a Dress to Impress player, so I don't know anything behind the scenes. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I cannot confirm. Wish I could, but I sadly cannot. So I am in the same boat as a lot of you guys. Anyway, obviously this is very, very subjective and we don't really have a lot to work with. So if you guys have any of your own opinions, or if you have any of your own theories about this little interaction between the two games, please let me know in the comments down below. Let's have a little discussion about what this could have meant. Maybe it was just, again, a simple back and forth between the two community managers. Nothing deep, nothing really important. Maybe I'm just reading too much into this like some people are, and if I am, that's okay. That's okay. It's not that deep. Our home is still spinning, okay? So it doesn't really matter, but let me know down below. But anyways, I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Bye!